If you've ever spent any time around children, which I have an 11-month-old at home, so I'm pretty familiar with the topic, you know that they throw tantrums. If they don't get their way, they stomp their feet, they jump in the air, they snatch at the thing that you just took away from them. And some people never grow out of that. It's going like wildfire across social media, but this recent instance of somebody jumping across the judicial bench and tackling the judge after they got sentenced has been everywhere online right now. And I'm going to share this story with you and some of my thoughts about what would cause a person to do this. Because you and me, right? I'm assuming that you're an average Joe or a Jane on the other side of this camera screen here. But I would never do this. If I get in trouble and I am sentenced and I am found guilty of committing a crime, I take my lumps. You know, you do the crime, you do the time. That's what they say, right? But some people just don't want to take responsibility and pay the consequences for their ill actions. And, well, usually those are criminals, which makes sense, right? But this recent one has just been wild because this guy is flying through the air, I swear, like Superman. I've never seen such powers. I've never been so mad that I sprouted the ability to fly, but this man did. And we're going to cover it today, as well as what would cause somebody to do that. There's some deep psychological things that happen inside of a brain that would cause someone to behave in this way. And it may be something that you want to watch out for too, because as well-meaning as you and I may be, we are in a society that has these people walking around in that. And it's no judgment, right? But those people need help. There's something wrong, something ill with their minds. And if you're not aware of it and don't recognize that people can behave this way, you can be in danger and not even know it. So let's talk about what this is and let's review this outrageous footage. So it started for me. I saw this on TikTok first, and this was the clip. I'm just going to let it play because it's absolutely glorious.
You know, if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, and I feel like I should be given a shot.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that you get a taste of something else because
I just said nope.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court.
No!
That's the clip. That's the clip. My favorite part is that he says something to the effect of, I'm not doing crimes now, like trying to make this plea like I've changed my ways. And she's like, no, because if you don't know the story, this is the second time, right? He got off easy the first time. This is the second time. And she's saying, no, listen, you have shown that you cannot be trusted. Like, it's not like a one-time mistake. Like, this is a consistent history of what's funny is he's being charged with physical assault and battery stuff. You cannot be trusted to not make this mistake again. Sure, sometimes people make mistakes. First-time offenders, we typically are a little bit more lenient because sometimes people grow and they learn things, right? But she's saying, hey, we tried that. It's not working, so you're going to get sentenced. And he's like, nah, fuck that, bitch. And then he lunges at her again with the physical assault, which is the thing that he's saying, oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm not getting in trouble right now. It's just unbelievable to me. And so there's a couple of things at play here. One is a huge lack of self-insight. Like, that's maybe not number one, but that's the first point I want to touch. Some people really do believe the shit that comes out of their mouth. And I'm sure that this individual believes that he's not going to make this same mistake again. You know, that's the one thing about pathological liars that I find the most fascinating as a mental health counselor and as a psychologist, like, well, somebody who works in the psychology field, is that people who are good at lying believe their lies. They're so confident and they're so assured about it because they believe what's coming out of their mouth in that moment. And so it's almost like moment to moment, they can believe different truths. And that's what even allows them to pass lie detector tests. That's why lie detector tests don't actually have a lot of credibility in our court system because they can be faked. And those people who are very nervous will show that they're lying when they're not actually lying. So that's one. The other thing is it's lies, right? It really is lies because he knows that he's probably going to do this again, but he's not thinking about the future. And so really the second thing is, there is a huge disconnect between actions and consequences. And I see that over and over with a lot of people who struggle with their mental health. this can be from many different things. It can be a personality disorder. It can even be kind of a symptom of ADHD or some of the neurodivergent spectrum, or some people who are anxious and depressed. They don't recognize the reactions of what their behaviors are doing. And so this individual is like, no, I shouldn't have that. Like, that's not the consequence of my action. Or even more, if I fly over the bench at the judge, don't you think some bad things are going to happen? So interestingly enough, actually, to get to that point, some bad things did happen. This individual now has new charges filed. Jail records show Redden, which is the individual's name, now faces 13 new charges, including coercion with force, intimidation of a public officer, extortion, and multiple counts of battery on a protected person, a judge, right? And so, like, if we scroll up to the beginning, just so you understand what was going on, this person violently attacked this Nevada judge, and the initial charge was, for this 30-year-old, attempted battery with substantial bodily harm. The lack of self-insight is astounding. Like, oh, you should let me off easy. And then you do the exact thing within seconds of you asking for forgiveness for the thing that you just did. It's so classic. And it brings me to the third thing that I need you to understand as part of this situation. There are people out there, right? We kind of take it for granted that everyone has empathy and everyone has a understanding of social interactions and norms, right? You don't cut people off in traffic. You don't flip people off. You know, you don't cut in line. These are things that we don't do because we want to be a nice person. That feeling of guilt and shame that you feel in your belly when you do things that you're not supposed to do is not a universal truth. Some people do not feel that. And so I don't know what this individual's got going on. I'm not his mental health counselor, but I need you to be aware that some people don't feel that negative feeling for doing those bad things, and they're much more likely to do those bad things. This is where we get antisocial personality disorder. This is where we get narcissistic personality disorder, because they consistently struggle with empathy, with those social norms. They don't feel bad for doing this stuff. And so he's like, I'm going to lie about this thing. I'm going to ask for forgiveness because I don't feel any shame or guilt about begging the judge for forgiveness. And then if it doesn't work out, I'm going to beat the shit out of her. Yikes. And that's just something that happens. I think there's a great coverage that we should go over here real quick. Here's the full story, a little bit more about it, and let's react and just kind of talk it through.
All right, back now with that shocking moment in a Las Vegas courtroom. A judge attacked on the bench by a man she had just sentenced. The incident shining a spotlight on a safety risk to judges nationwide. Liz Kreutz with the video and the concerns.
And it really is a huge concern nationwide. Like, I didn't realize this until researching the story more. A lot of judges are in danger because they are the one that sentence these violent criminals. And so when those criminals get out, or even the other people associated with those criminals will come and hunt them down and try and hurt them.
Tonight, new security questions after a Las Vegas judge was attacked in her own courtroom Wednesday by...
I just love her face too. It's like, you can see, if anybody looks like this, you can see just the pain, the anguish, the sadness about having to do this job over and over. She looks like she's not having a great day. She just had to deal with this nonsensical guy and sentence him. And then she just looks up and she's like, oh, fuck.
By a convicted felon.
Just, can we appreciate that screen? Hold on, let's rewind. Look, it's the both legs in the air for me. It's just like, that's incredible. Look at the height extension on that leg, the athleticism, the sheer raw talent. I'm blown.
Leading up to the terrifying
funny because I know everyone's safe.
30-year-old Deobra Redden, who has a history of violent crimes, pled guilty to attempted battery with substantial bodily harm, but asked Judge Mary Kay Holmes for leniency.
Mary Kay Holmes.
I shouldn't be sent to prison
for a second time.
The judge denied his plea.
I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else, because I just can't with that history.
Which, good for her. Good for her. People need to experience their consequences and move forward. Like, I'm all about grace and forgiveness, right? But only when it is beneficial for society and for the individual. This individual has shown that grace and forgiveness is not going to help them understand the consequences. And clearly, it's going to make society a more dangerous place. We have a responsibility to keep others safe.
That's when Redden flew through...
This screen
through the air, tackling her, sparking this bloody brawl that sent one court-martial to the...
Whoa, it got real bad. Did you see that?
Through the air, tackling her, sparking this bloody brawl that sent one court-martial to the hospital. The dramatic incident.
Man, that's rough, dude. Can you imagine you just showing up for a regular day at the office? Ugh.
Shedding light on security threats facing judges across the country.
How common is it to have attacks or threats like this in a courtroom?
I think they're very common. It is
Damn.
a national issue at all levels, the attacks to judicial officers in and out of the court.
Like in this Mississippi courtroom, surveillance video showing the moment a suspect began throwing things at the judge.
What is this person doing? Hold on, did you see that?
Judicial officers.
What is this?
In and out of the court.
Wait for it.
Like in this
Right
Mississippi
here.
courtroom, surveillance video showing the moment a
Is
suspect
she
began throwing
pumped and
things at
excited
the
about this?
judge.
Is he
Then
holding
in
her back?
October,
I don't.
showing
That's
the
weird,
moment
right?
a suspect began throwing things at the judge. Then in October, a Maryland judge killed by a man after
That's
he
sad.
ruled against him in a child custody case. And in 2020, there was that horrifying attack in New Jersey where a disgruntled lawyer targeted federal judge Esther Salas, showing up at her home and killing her 20-year-old son. That incident sparking legislation to help protect the personal information of judges.
Absolutely.
As for the incident in Vegas, the attacker now faces multiple new felony charges of battery and battery against a protected person. He refused to appear in court today, but is expected back Tuesday.
I really want to see the follow-up story of what he says when he gets back to court. Like, oh my God. Well, listen, if you got thoughts or comments about it, that's what I want to share with you today. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.